Hello everybody. Today, I would like to give you a presentation on insertion sort. So, you may be asking, what is insertion sort? Well, it's a simple sorting algorithm that builds a final array by taking pieces of a given array one item at a time until it hits the end of the original. It's less efficient than your more advanced algorithms, but it's in some ways a bit more efficient than some of the more simpler ones. And it is known for having the benefits of being adaptive, being that if you give it a mostly sorted list, it'll sort through it pretty fast. And it's stable, meaning it won't change with the order of items. And it's also online. It sorts through it piece by piece, which is excellent. But mainly, it's in place. It doesn't use any auxiliary data structures. And it only uses a small amount of extra storage for auxiliary variables. So, how does it work? Well, it's easy. An insertion sorter algorithm will iterate through an unsorted list, consuming one element and finding where it belongs in the sorted list and then insert it into a new list. And I've provided an example using cookies that I have in Cookie Run, going off of their star rating. So first, you can see we start with the sorbet shark cookie. It doesn't move because it's the first one. But then we go to the next one, the young king. He also doesn't move because he's larger than sorbet shark. And now we get interesting when we go to moon rabbit cookie. It's got to move back because it has less stars than the king cookie. So it gets put down there. And now we move to pumpkin pie cookie, who needs to go back 2 spaces because it's greater than sorbet shark but less than moon rabbit. And see, at the end we wrap up with a squid ink cookie, one of my personal favorites. But I don't have him with any stars. So he needs to move to the very beginning. And everything else needs to get moved ahead. And then you can see we will have a perfectly sorted list. But we must talk about this. Insertion sort has a runtime on average of O to the n squared, which is terrible. I mean, it is god awful when I think that I'm going to have to run through this, and each one, it's going to have to go through each element, and it's on each element, it's going to have to check each element to make sure it goes in the right position. And that's just terrible. I don't even want to think about how awful this is. And it's just sad that so many simple sorting algorithms have to turn out like this. But insertion sort can be your saving grace. Because I said earlier, if you give it a mostly sorted list, it can sort through it much faster. And in its best case, even be O of n. But at that point, you're giving it a sorted list. I mean, come on. You got to think about it a little. You're trying to sort a sorted list? What are you, a child? God, get out of here. But, sadly, on average, it is O to the n squared, the worst case scenario. And here's a beautiful example I found on the internet of an insertion sort program. You can see it has it has 3 ints that it's used to just sort through. It'll sort through it, and then in its first loop, you set your key to the number in the array you're doing, and then you set in your J, and then you sort through the list, finding out if it's good, if it's bad, what is it, where does it go, and when you're done, it'll be sorted. That'll be all. I hope you came here. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed my many pictures of Hatsune Miku. Now, if you don't mind me, I will be going to be playing Project Diva Future Tone and getting a good 60% on Black Star Shooter hard mode.